Hey good people, welcome back to Beauty in the Frizz. My name is Cara. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me today. I am really excited because I'm finally going to get a chance to play with the new industrial palette from Isamaya Ffrench along with her mascara. So if you want to see lid swatches and hear a little more about this collection, keep on watching this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if makeup is your therapy and your love, if it makes you happy and you want to hang out with someone that feels the same way, definitely consider joining the community. I would love to have you back. All right, let's get started. So I have to say, out of all of the makeup releases that have come out this year in 2022, this collection by Isamaya Ffrench has been one of the most intriguing. Now, I will admit, I had no idea who Isamaya Ffrench was, but now I know. And I do know that she is like one of the top designers for Pyrite. I know she's worked with Tom Ford, and she did the iconic Rihanna Vogue cover, and it seems like a lot of A-list celebrities have worked with her, or she's worked with them. So really excited to try out this palette. And it's always interesting to me when makeup artists come out with their own collections. I just try to look at their vision, what they had in mind for their collection, and try to use the palette in the way that they designed. So this palette, this color story, this collection was really intriguing. And I only purchased two things from the collection, and I'm not even saying only because this is a luxury brand. I did purchase the palette and the mascara. I purchased both items from Selfridges, and because of that, the price is a little bit different. So I think I purchased the palette for $109. I think the mascara was $38. I'll put the pricing information down in the description box because I really cannot remember. I've had this palette for about a week now, and I've played with it. I feel like it's not super beginner friendly, but I still have a lot more to explore with this palette. So I just want to just talk about my first impressions. First of all, the packaging, you know what I mean, is because Isamaya Ffrench, she can do these special effects. She can do so many looks and make herself look so different. I have become very interested in her YouTube channel and just seeing the different effects that she does. It is amazing. She is really, really talented, and she's only got 8,000 subscribers, so hoping that will change because I mean her work is excellent. Anyway, this collection has this industrial theme. It's edgy, it's bondage, vinyl, leather. That's what it makes me think of. And I believe that it is an eyeshadow palette, but it's called Industrial Color Pigments. Now, let me just show you the outer packaging, and then we'll look at the palette. So that is Isamaya Ffrench on the front, and you can see, the name of the palette and everything. It is small, it's petite. Now, when you open the palette up, this is what you see, and this is this human figure kind of strapped down, almost like in this, it's plastic, but it looks like a vinyl situation. And yes, that is it. So this might not be your favorite palette to store, but for me, this is something that I would probably not want to keep in a drawer, but you can always just keep the box and store it that way, because I'm definitely going to keep the box. Now, this palette is made in Italy, and it has a 12-month shelf life. Here on the back, you can see the shade information. I had the hardest time trying to figure out, I have a hard time with shade names on the back, but basically, okay, so let me show you. When you open the palette up, so it has this little lip here. When you open up the palette, okay, so here's the palette. Let me just show you. When you open up the palette, Yes, so when you look at the shade names on the back, I'm sorry, this is the top row of the palette, this is the bottom row of the palette. So the shade Leather corresponds to the shade Leather here. So I'm glad I watched her video. I was kind of waiting for that because I was all kinds of confused. Now, one of the interesting things in this palette is that there are some different textures in here, different formulas, and that can be kind of the tricky part. Yes? You're full? You didn't? Okay. We'll take a break and maybe you could try a little bit more later, okay? I love you. You're full. But I bet you ate all the macaroni and cheese. I bet you ate all the taco meat. So I think I was talking about the different formulas in the palette. So we've got a putty texture, which I'll show you when we get into it up close. We have kind of these glittery toppery shades. We have some dual chromes. We have some kind of just foiled metallics that are smooth. We have some that have some bigger chunks. So you guys, these are the shade names, and I'm just gonna read them to you. We have Initiator, Heat, Diesel, Whip, Flesh, Belt, and Fetish. That's the top row. And the bottom row is Cuprum, Machine, Motor, Grip, Brass, Sweat, and Leather. When I show you the swatches, I'm gonna show you the top row, and then I'm gonna show you the bottom row. And here are the swatches. Now this black is a putty-like matte shade. It's very creamy. This shade right here, this purple one, it appears really white in the pan, but it is that iridescent purple. And then this shade right here, you can see it is very chunky. It has some big particles and it almost feels kind of wet. This one also you can push in a bit. So there are just some really interesting formulas here within this palette. All right, now I'm going to show you the bottom row. Okay, you guys, here is the bottom row of the palette. Now, I will say that some of these shades concern me. I do think that a couple of them are toppers. So this shade right here is one that I think is more of a topper. This shade, it's really only one shade that concerns me. It's this one here. Let me show you what it looks like in the pan. Now, this is a bit of a duochrome, but it's not really picking up on my finger. Let me show you. See my finger? It's there, but it's very, very, very light. I'm gonna be interested in seeing how that shade works for me. Now this shade right here is the other shade in the palette on the bottom row that looks black. It's actually, I think, blue, and I'm not sure how different it's going to show up on the eye, but it's got a little sheen to it, and it has a little bit of like navy sparkle. So I am very interested in seeing, you know, how these play out, how they work together. I'm interested in working with new textures. Love this right here so much. I thought the best way to really understand everything in this palette would be to do lid swatches. I really don't do that very often, but I kind of feel like it's necessary with this palette. So we're gonna get into that in a second. Let me just tell you what else came in the collection before we get into the lid swatches, because that's gonna take the longest. We have the Rubberlash Mascara, which I believe is supposed to curl and lengthen your lashes. Been using this for about a week. I like it. You see it's got this little piercing situation here. Now, I don't know who has a piercing with this thickness, but I'm sure it is possible. So there's that, and you can see it says Isamaya here. It says it right there. I don't know if you can see that. It says Isamaya. Now, the items that I passed on in this collection were just things I just didn't really need. There was a brow lacquer to give your brows like that laminating effect, and she also said that it was good for helping to lay down the eyebrows in case you want to blank them out. So I think she showed it on her YouTube channel how she used the brow lacquer, she laminated the brows, and then she put the foundation over top in order to blank out the brows. There's also a skin lacquer, which is supposed to give your skin a glass-like effect. And then, and you know, I really like that. It was expensive, and I have a lot of glowy products, so that might be something to try later on. And then there was a lip plumper, which was a deeper shade, kind of like this, maybe like a plum. And I just felt like those were passable for now. And I got the two things that I thought were gonna be like the most exciting for me. So let's go ahead and get into the lid swatches. I don't have any primer on my eyes, and a couple of these shades are gonna look different over this kind of black base, and I'll show you that. So let's get started. Oh, I should get some brushes. Now, as always, if you want to make these shades pop, or you know, have a little more oomph to them, you can use a eyeshadow primer, of course, which is what I would generally use. You can use a black base, you can use a mixing medium, a glitter glue, any of those things. But we're just gonna go ahead and look at these shades at face value and just see exactly what we think. Do we think this palette is worth the hefty price tag? These are basically some flat shader brushes, which are gonna be really good for packing on the shimmers. And then I have these two brushes, which are kind of dense. The reason that I have these is because after playing with this palette, a couple of the shimmers seem a little difficult to pick up. So I have these just in case, and I've noticed with certain shimmers, these denser, they're blending brushes, but they're just denser and they work really well for those shades. And all of these brushes are synthetic. So I'm gonna zoom us in. And the first shade we're gonna start with is the shade Leather. This is the shade Leather. Looking at this really close, you can already see, I think you can see my fingerprint already in there. I am gonna apply this with a finger first and then maybe use the brush to kind of blend it out. Now these shades, Leather and the other kind of putty one, I'll show it to you. I believe these are supposed to react to your body temperature. So I'm just kind of letting this warm up. That's how you can see that imprint, because this shade is just very putty-like. Reminds me of like tar. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put it on the lid. So this is a straight black. Now when I look at Leather, Leather is a great base. It's a great base for some of these shades that are gonna be toppers, some of the more sheer shades. So I'm just tapping this on. I know this is a little bit messy. Now I'm taking this Blend Spunny brush to kind of blend it. Oh my God, I hear kids. Told you. Okay, so based on using Leather, I think Leather works best with a finger. The brush, I don't know. I am new with this type of texture, so the brush just seems like it's good for maybe diffusing it out like that. Like if you want to do a smoky eye or something like that. So that's Leather, and you can see that it does diffuse out. I am gonna go into the shade Sweat. I'm gonna put Sweat on this eye, and then I'm gonna put Sweat on top of Leather, so you can see how the black base really changes this up. So I'm going into Sweat with my finger, and you can see that Sweat is an iridescent shade. Now, this shade makes the best inner corner highlight. I wore a look the other day with just a gold, one of the golds from the palette, and then this as the inner corner highlight, and it was really pretty. So this is Sweat, beautiful iridescent purple. I think it could be a really beautiful transforming shade if that's how you choose to use it. So look how pretty that is. Now let's take Sweat and put it over top of Leather, and you can just see how the shade really comes alive.
I figured out I'm part of a clown, I can bounce on the ball.
If you want Sweat to have that extra kind of punch, put it over top of Leather or the other one. I have to see what the other one is. Diesel. Sorry. All right, so that is, you saw Leather, you see Sweat over the black base, and you see it alone. So those are the first 2 shades in the palette. Actually, this right here is a look in itself. I just would have to clean up the black a little bit, but this could be a look, you know? So yes, Isamaya. The next 2 shades I'm gonna show you are the shades Brass and Grip. Now for Brass, I'm gonna take this Morphe shader brush. So you can see this is a beautiful, sparkly copper shade. And again, a primer would probably, most likely, you know, help this shade to, you know, lay down a bit better. But I just wanted to show you what it looks like on its own. And this could be a really beautiful one and done shade. Like, just put some bronzer in your transition area, and then you could put this shade right on your lid and bring it up. So that's Brass. I'm gonna take the other side of the brush and go into Grip. And I also would like to share before I do that, or while I'm doing it, is that I almost felt like these had almost a layer that I needed to kind of dig up in a way. I just felt like they are showing up a lot better than when I initially swatched them. So if you have this palette, let me know if you feel similar. But Grip is beautiful, beautiful green. And even when I'm going in now, I'm kind of just like scrubbing the brush around just a little bit. I know I'm being a little bit messy, but I just really want you to see the shade. And I kind of think this might be a duochrome, maybe. Maybe. So there's Grip. Both of these shades are really pretty. The next 2 shades we're going to look at are Motor and Machine. Now I love this. This is like a grungy green. It's got like some gold in there. And let's take the other side and go into Machine. Now Machine has these larger particles. And when I swatched Machine, this one almost felt wet. So let's see, I'm kind of digging into this one to get those particles on the lid. And you can see they are, you know, they're chunky. This is a chunky shade. Beautiful silvery gray. Now I'm wondering, should I go in with a finger on this one? Because I think this one, you know, can really give us that fallout. So let's use the finger. Yeah, this is a really good one for your finger. And actually, as chunky as it was on the brush, like, it's really smooth on the lid. So we have one more shade on the top row, and then I'm gonna be also starting on the other eye with the first shade on the bottom, and then we'll kind of even out because we have another duochrome here that I'm going to swatch over the second putty shade. So let's get to that now. The very last shade on the top row is the shade Cuprum, and Cuprum is an obsolete name for copper. You can see right here that it's a beautiful kind of coppery shade. All right, you guys, I'm switching brushes, going into a Glam Light flat shader, and I'm gonna demo Cuprum and then Fetish right here. Again, just want to remind you, I'm not spraying these and I don't have on any primer. So I am getting a lot of fallout, and I just don't think that would happen if I was applying these shadows the way I normally do. Just wanted to give you that disclaimer because I know my face looks a bit messy. So that's Cuprum, beautiful kind of coppery gold. Very, very nice shade, really nice. And next up, we are gonna go to Fetish. Yeah, I think this is the shade I wore the other day, And then I wore that iridescent purple in the inner corner as a highlight, and it was really beautiful. All right, so we have these two shades next. All right, you guys, so the next two shades in the palette, we have Belt and Flesh. Okay, so here's Belt and here's Flesh. So you can see a lot of these colors are just kind of these grungy, kind of antique, grimy type shades. I mean, I think industrial is such a good description for these this palette. So there we go. It almost looks a bit green. Now the next shade, Flesh, looks more like a topper. Still gonna go in with this brush. This is like a beautiful icy white topper. Now this is one of those shadows that are a bit more transparent. So even though, you know, you can wear them by itself, but I also think these are gonna be, you know, a great transforming topper shade. Yeah, this one has like a really beautiful, beautiful sparkle to it. And it almost reminds me of like some of the special Pat McGrath shades. Maybe the Astral formula maybe, or maybe even the Blitz. It's really pretty. So here are those two. And as I take this off, you know, like I was rubbing my eye at first and I'm like, oh my God, my eyes are starting to burn. But if you ever do lid swatches, do more padding when you take the shadows off. I'm not saying my lids aren't going to be sore later, but the padding motion is, I'm just using a Neutrogena makeup remover, but the padding is getting the shadow off, because when you start rubbing, it really does become painful. So just a tip for anybody that is doing that, because I've only done like 2 videos with lid swatches, and that's why I don't do them often, because my lids get so sore. I don't know how like Heather Austin, Nikki Raven, that girl Shay XO, she does the lid swatches all the time. I feel like with every palette, but maybe that's the trick. I don't know. All right, the next shade is one I'm really excited to try. The next 2 shades are Whip and Diesel. Now Diesel is another putty formula, and this one I think is a navy blue, and I don't think, this one has some sparkles in it. We'll see if we can see that on the eye. And Whip looks like another maybe topper shade. So let's see. I just love it. It's like a sparkly taupe. Ooh, but this, oh, I think this is my favorite shade. Oh my God, this one and that copper brass, not copper, but brass. This is a favorite right here. I can tell you that right now. Wow. And the sparkles in this are like all different colors, y'all. Now this is a one and done right here. Oh my goodness, this is so pretty. I don't think I have a palette with so many different like eyeshadow formulas. You know what I mean? And if you don't like this, or it's too much, let me just show you real fast. I'm wondering, could you take Flesh? Ooh, y'all, look at Flesh on top. I mean, it's still dark, but that's yes. That's yes. All right, going into Diesel with my finger. Now I'm looking, so this one is like melted at this point. This one, let's see if we can warm this up a bit. And then I'll have to let you know, does this one kind of harden back up? Because I don't know. So I'm just rubbing into Diesel with my finger, just warming it. So this definitely reacts to your temperature, and that's what she said. Now the one thing is, I don't really know if you can see these sparkles, and I thought this was blue, but I don't know. I feel like, let's look at this really fast. I feel like this is blue, and it has like an iridescence in it, and this is like a slick black. Reminds me of like tar. I think I said that. Okay. Let's go ahead and try this one on and see if there are any differences we can spot. I do think this has more of an iridescence, and I can see a little bit of the sparkle and sheen, but I don't know, will we be able to see that from afar? No, we won't be able to see that from afar, but it definitely is like, it's got this, maybe it's black with a blue iridescence. I don't know, but it's definitely a neat shade. Unfortunately, I'm not sure like how this is gonna what is the word I'm looking for? I'm just not sure, like, can we really see that difference on the eye? How the look is gonna translate, that's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so yes, let's see. Let's go in with this brush, and I'm guessing as it warms up, it's going to be a bit easier to blend out. So I think the thing is like getting it where you need it to go, you know? This could be complicated, you know? But yeah, we've got a little sheen in there, and some of the sparkles that you see might be from other shades I had on. It is picking up on the brush though. They both did. And I feel like the more I go in with it, the more malleable the shades, these two shades are. And I'm talking about Leather and Diesel. So I don't know if you can tell that that's navy blue, but it is. All right, so I'm gonna show you these one more time. And next I'm gonna remove this shade right here, which I really don't want to, it's so pretty. And I am going to put on this shade, which I feel like this shade was giving me a problem. This is the shade, let me see, Belt. This is not Belt, this is Heat. Yes? Yes. Okay, Heat. Heat was giving me a hard time. I felt like this shade was not picking up at all, and I'm gonna show it to you what I mean. And then that's when I kind of was saying to myself, like, Cara, maybe you have to dig into these. Like, maybe there's a layer on here that like you've got to get off, because I do feel like these shades are gonna have hard pan tendencies. So that's the reason that I am choosing to use the brush when I can. And then I did, like, because I swatched it, and then after that I just took a piece of like the Scotch tape and just kind of took off that layer, and then I felt like the shades were really picking up. And maybe it's something that I'm doing or not doing. Yeah, this shade was not coming up like this when I first, like, I was very concerned. And now this one also seems a bit sheer, almost like sweat, but you can see it's beautiful iridescent green. Looks way different in the pan than it's translating on the eye. So that's very pretty. But again, I am kind of scraping around, and I'm just hoping that, you know, me saying all this will help anybody who might be struggling with this palette. And now we're gonna put it on top of Diesel. This is like the beautiful creativity with palettes such as this one that I enjoy. You know, it's something different. And I don't mind the extra work with something like this because it's, I don't know, it's inspiring, I think is the word I'm looking for. Now this almost appears to be the same color as Grip, which was this shade right here. Yeah, it almost is that shade. Like, I don't know if this palette swatches the best, but I mean, on the eye, it is really, really pretty. So that's Heat. So you can just see, you could do like a day look, a night look, you know what I mean? And you could use Heat to maybe transform some of the other shades. All right, and last but not least, we have this beautiful green shade, and this is the shade Initiator. And there it is. And basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to turn Initiator just into an eye look, and then I'm gonna try to clean this up and you know, show you the mascara, because I know I look like, I don't know. But I'm using, what brush is this? This is by Luxie. So let's just put this all over the lid. I think this is another favorite in this palette. It's beautiful, 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 beautiful. And again, no primer. I would definitely be using this with a primer. And I am really enjoying the experience of using this palette and learning how to use these different types of shades. So there's our very last shade, and again, I'm gonna turn this into a look. Let's go into Belts, this one right here. I'm gonna take this kind of fluffy brush by Eggshell, and let's see if we can make this kind of like a crease shade here. And you know, if you don't like the shimmery crease, just take your bronzer and, you know, you could do that first. But I feel like this palette is really like glam, you know what I mean? It's really sparkly. It's kind of reminding me of something that Pat McGrath would have created like pre-2020, like with her earlier motherships, right? Like that's what the vibe that this is giving me. So, and I know this is probably not the best blend, but it's blending really well. But like I said, I don't have anything on. And I'm gonna go in with this Blend Bunnies brush here. And this is the B2. I'm gonna go into Sweat, which is that iridescent purple. I just wanna show y'all like how it looks in the inner, like look at that inner corner highlight. Oh my gosh. Oh my God, I'm almost like, I really wish I put primer on, cause like, but it looks so beautiful, like even without having any primer. Like that is so gorgeous. I can't. I'm kind of exaggerating this, obviously, but not really, not with this inner corner. This is just so beautiful. So that's our look so far. All right, I wanna go into leather now. I've got this Sigma brush here. It's very dense. This is the E37. And I just wanna see how this picks up if I want to add like a little bit of smokiness to the outer corner. Like I already have some shadow down, but what will it look like? Will it go over top? It looks like it is. This brush is really good for that. And then kind of bringing it out. Again, this might be a palette that, you know, we're gonna go ahead and do our eye makeup first. Yeah, this has like a really clay-like texture. Kind of trying to put this in the crease. And I'm gonna have to continue to experiment with different brushes to see like, you know, which ones are best for this type of formula. So now what I'm gonna do, let me just show you what we've got. I am going to put a little more concealer on, and we'll come back and do the under eye, and then we'll get into the mascara, and then I'm gonna wrap up the video. Okay, you guys, I feel like I look a lot better. All right, so I just put some Pat McGrath concealer on. I didn't even set it because I'm gonna be taking this off, unfortunately, but I am liking this look. I want to get into this under eye, and I definitely want to go into the shade Brass, which is this beautiful coppery orange. And I'm just taking a smudger brush, and I'm not wetting anything today. So I know when I come back and use this, I definitely will. But let's just put it here. I think that looks really, really pretty. Just is gonna give a little accent here. I think that looks really cool. And then let's take Motor. Now Motor is this shade right here, and we'll just join it. And honestly, you can't even tell the difference like with this shade and one of the shades I used at the top. So that looks good. Here is the look. I'm not even gonna put, I don't even think I need to put liner on right now because I want to show you the mascara. All right, y'all, I hope this looks decent. So let's get into this mascara. I'm going to show you the wand. All right, hopefully you can see it's got a bit of a curved wand. Let's go ahead and get into this and see what we think about this mascara. Now, I told you I've been using it. I'm going to just start by wiggling back and forth and then bringing it up and out. And then I'm gonna kind of go out like that. Sorry, y'all, I'm just trying to do some different angles to make sure you can see this. Oh my God, I feel like the kids are coming. I don't know. I think I read that this is supposed to like curl your lashes. I'm almost positive she said that. Like that there would be no need to use an eyelash curler. Now, I don't curl my lashes, so, and I might not be holding the wand exactly right, but I do feel like this mascara is you know, it's giving me some length, and it's accentuating the lashes nicely. So I'm gonna go in again, like with another layer. That's what we're working with so far. I think it's a little bit hard to tell because I do have on the deep shadow, especially, you know, in the outer corner. So I think it's harder to tell, but hopefully, I know there's some different mascara techniques. I know Charlotte Holcroft just uploaded a video about like mascara techniques, so I might take a look at that because I want the mascara obviously to be at its maximum potential. But I think it looks nice, I will say that. And I'm gonna do one more layer on this side. Now, of course, you know, you can do a thin liner down the bottom end to fill in your lashes up top to make your lashes stand out even more. But just for the purposes of this video, I just want to show you the mascara. So let me see if I can zoom in. Okay, so this is what we have. And let me know how that looks to you. And that is going to be it. So let's go ahead and wrap up this video. Final thoughts on this industrial collection. I had a really fun time playing with this palette, and I think I'm happy that I did the lid swatches because it just showed me the versatility of the palette. And I'm not sure when this video is going up, but I recently filmed a video about one and done eyeshadow shades, and I could see almost all of the shades in this palette being like a great one and done look. You know, I even like using that black base as like your eyeshadow base, and then just taking the shade and throwing it on top. You know, it gives you kind of like this smoky, grungy vibe, or not doing that. I like that you can see the difference in the duochromes that are in there when you use that black base. If I had to change anything about this palette, I would have loved to see a brown matte putty shade. These two shades are not showing up super different on the eye. So if there are any tricks to make that happen, I would love to know. But maybe taking out one of these and instead having a brown putty matte shade, that would have made this palette absolutely perfect. Initially, my initial thoughts when I played with it off camera was that this was going to be a companion palette, but now I see that it doesn't have to be. It is going to be a great companion palette. Oh, and I actually have some palettes that I think I want to come back and use. Let me show you really fast. I think I have them right here. Oh yes, they're right here. So one palette that I thought would be great with the industrial palette was the Mary Jane palette from Melt Cosmetics. I think these would be so good together because of the color story. I did a little playing around with this, but nothing that I filmed. Like, look at these. Don't you think these will go really great together? Like, the melt mattes are great, and these kind of grungy, oily ash colors, smoke colors are going to be so great with this palette. So I thought that would be a great partner palette if you don't like those putty tones. I pulled out Supreme Nudes from Artist Couture. I thought this would be a nice companion as well. I thought, like, I was thinking about some of these mattes with like the greens. I just thought these would work as well. You do see we have kind of like that antique gold there already. So I thought these would work well together. And the other palette that really caught my attention that might be the best, let's see, because I haven't looked at them side by side, but I pulled out Biba. And what I love about Biba is that it has the warm and the coolness in it. It's mostly warm because you have all these browns, but then you have the black, you have the two grays. And I just thought, like, if you take these two palettes and put them together, you are going to have so many beautiful looks. I feel like you can do these industrial kind of oil slick grimy type looks, but then you can make these really earthy looks, like with these antique golds and greens. I see this palette being able to be used. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Spot just fell out of Biba. You know, just see, I just could have left it at what I was doing. Anyway, I'm gonna have to hold it like this, but I think this is a perfect palette, Biba, with the shade pressed in. It's a perfect palette. Damn the man, like why? Luckily, it's one of those, what do you call it? Cream to powder mattes. So I'm gonna just press that back in and I won't be holding that one up again. All right, so if you have this palette and it's intimidating to you, find like a good palette that you have, like a go-to, and see. Patrick Ta Major Dimension would be great. I mean, there's so many. Maybe Natasha Denona Gold would be great with this, and just pull some mattes from that. But you know, this is a really inspiring palette, and it has definitely sparked my creativity, like with this look and how to use it. So I am really happy to have this in my collection. I believe that I was told that she's going to be coming out with a palette each season, and it's going to have a different theme. And based on like her pictures on Instagram and things like that, she does not stick to just one type of look. Like, yeah, this one looks like bondage and piercings and things like that, but I've seen her do a lot of other looks. So I don't think that everything is going to be along these lines, especially like if you're not into this type of look or packaging, and I can see that some people wouldn't be. I think she's going to be switching it up, which I think is great. I am really excited to see what Isamaya Ffrench is going to be doing with her beauty line in the future and what other products she's going to add. I'm excited. I'm not sure if a brand such as hers would be one that goes on sale, but I would possibly be interested in maybe trying the brow lacquer at some point and the skin lacquer. But right now, again, those things were not super important to me. I think the hero of the collection is definitely the palette and the mascara. So I think that's all I wanted to say. One last thing I wanted to say. You know, hearing her talk about the palette was really inspiring. And one of the things that she said and that really resonated with me is like, we don't use makeup to change who we are. She wants the makeup to make you more of who you are. And that's how she designed the palette to be used. Not to cover anything up, not to change anything, but to enhance who you are and to make you more of who you are. And I just thought that was an interesting concept. And that's something that I always say, like, the makeup enhances like what we already have. What we already have is beautiful. And the makeup just adds to it, you know? And so I thought that was really powerful and just something that, you know, I just wanted to make sure I said, because who we are is always changing, and that's kind of how I feel my relationship with makeup is right now. It's always changing, especially with eyeshadow. I've always liked the grunge and things like that. I think the phase I'm in right now is like the less is more and using less shadows. So like I did this look with this palette, but the looks that I was telling you about with like taking Biba or Supreme Nudes and taking a matte and putting one of these beautiful shimmers on top to just let the beauty of those shimmers do its thing. I think it would be like maybe 2-3 shades max, not like 5, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to see how this all worked and how the shadows play with each other. But oh my gosh, I really, and I have iridescent shades, but there's something about the glow and like the galacticness of this iridescent shade that is so beautiful. I feel like every time I use this palette, I'm gonna use it as an inner corner highlight. It is just so pretty. So anyway, I'm starting to ramble. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that if you have this palette or you're having trouble with it, you know, it is not the most beginner friendly palette, but we can make it that way. Yeah, I just wanted to share that, and hopefully you got an idea on how to use the different formulas in the palette. I could see that palette was really overwhelming for me. I am just about ready. Want to close out with me? I was a little, oh, okay, well, come on. I was a little overwhelmed in the beginning, but I'm not anymore. Here, they can't see you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, he's ready for his bath. So thank you so much for taking out some of your time and hanging out with me today to explore this Isamaya French industrial collection. I hope this was therapy for you. It always is for me. So until I see you again, make sure you are being
being gentle to yourself and nice to yourself.
Talk to yourself nice. Stay safe.
And
we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Mom.
What?
People just use it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Bye. Now I got to clean my lens.
Sorry. People do that.
Okay, let's do it again. 1, 2, 3.